In the vast, silent theater of human history, some events leave scars upon the Earth, craters and ruins that tell a clear, if brutal, story. But others are ghosts. They arrive with unimaginable force, rewrite the landscape in a flash of light, and then vanish, leaving behind only questions that echo through time. This is the story of the most profound of these phantoms, an explosion that should not have been, a catastrophe without a cause, a cosmic mystery that began on a quiet summer morning in the heart of Siberia. The year is 1908. In the remote, desolate expanse of the Podkamennaya Tunguska River basin, the world is still. The taiga, an ancient forest of pine and birch, breathes in the early morning light. Local Evenki herdsmen tend their reindeer, their lives governed by the timeless rhythms of the seasons. There is no warning, no sound, no shadow in the sky. There is only, in an instant, a second sun. A blinding flash of blue-white light rips across the horizon, so brilliant it is seen hundreds of kilometers away. Witnesses report a heat so intense it felt as if their clothes were on fire. For those closer, the light was followed by a sound that defied comprehension, a deafening, rolling thunder that shook the very ground, shattering windows and knocking people off their feet in settlements more than 60 kilometers from the epicenter. An invisible fist of pressure, a shockwave of immense power, pulsed outwards, and then an earth-shattering explosion. In that single cataclysmic moment, a force equivalent to a 15-megaton nuclear bomb was unleashed upon the Siberian wilderness. 80 million trees across more than 2,000 square kilometers of forest were flattened. They fell in a radial pattern, their massive trunks snapped like twigs, all pointing away from a central, unseen point of detonation. The sky rained black dust. The forest burned for days, and the atmospheric disturbance was so great that for several nights afterwards, the skies over Europe and Asia glowed with an eerie luminescence. People in London could read newspapers outdoors at midnight by this strange, lingering light. The world had just witnessed an event of unprecedented power, a natural catastrophe on a scale rarely seen in recorded history. And yet, for years, the world would remain almost entirely ignorant of what had truly happened. The isolated nature of the region meant the story was reduced to scattered, disbelieved reports from remote villages. The mystery of Tunguska was born not in fire, but in silence. It would take over a decade for the first serious scientific inquiry to begin, a quest that would come to define the life of one man, the Russian mineralogist Leonid Kulik. Haunted by the fragmented accounts of the 1908 event, Kulik became convinced that a giant meteorite had struck the Earth. He dedicated his life to finding it, believing that the iron-rich prize would be a boon to the nascent Soviet industry and a monumental scientific discovery. In the 1920s, he launched a series of expeditions into the unforgiving Siberian taiga, a journey into the heart of the enigma. What he and his team found was not what they expected. It was something far stranger. The landscape they entered was a scene of apocalyptic devastation, a forest cemetery frozen in time. Mile after mile, they trekked through the ghostly remains of the flattened taiga. The sheer, uniform destruction was breathtaking. But as they approached the epicenter, the place they called the cauldron, the puzzle only deepened. They found no impact crater. There was no great hole in the earth, no shattered rock, no sign of the cosmic body Kulik was so certain he would find. At the very center of the blast zone, in a bizarre twist, a small number of trees remained standing, though they were stripped bare of their branches and bark, scorched into skeletal poles. And most unnervingly, despite meticulous searching, they found not a single verifiable meteorite fragment. The celestial object, whatever it was, had delivered a blow powerful enough to alter the planet's atmosphere, yet it had seemingly evaporated into thin air, leaving no physical trace of its own existence. Kulik would return again and again, spending his life chasing this ghost, but he would die without ever solving the riddle. He had uncovered the evidence of an unimaginable explosion, but the weapon itself had vanished. This central paradox, the immense effect and the absent cause, has positioned the Tunguska event as one of history's most baffling and enduring mysteries. The absence of tangible evidence created a vacuum, and into that vacuum rushed a torrent of speculation and theory, from the plausible to the truly fantastic. For decades, the scientific community has grappled with this vanished explosion, attempting to reconcile the scorched Earth with the empty sky. The leading hypothesis, the one that has gained the most traction, points not to an impact but to an airburst. Scientists now believe that a stony asteroid or a fragment of a comet, somewhere between 50 and 100 meters in diameter, entered Earth's atmosphere at a tremendous velocity. The immense pressure and friction of its descent would have superheated the object, causing it to violently disintegrate and explode several kilometers above the ground. This aerial detonation would elegantly explain the key features of the event. The explosion, occurring high in the atmosphere, would send a devastating shockwave downwards and outwards, flattening the trees in the characteristic radial pattern. The intense thermal radiation from the blast would scorch the landscape and ignite fires without the need for physical contact. And most importantly, it would account for the missing crater and the lack of large fragments, as the cosmic body would have been almost entirely vaporized in the fiery blast. It was a perfect, self-annihilating weapon, delivering its payload of destruction before ever touching the Earth. This theory paints a chilling picture of our planet's vulnerability to visitors from space, suggesting that the greatest threats may not be the ones that leave a scar, but the ones that explode silently above our heads. But while the airburst theory remains the most widely accepted explanation, it is not without its own questions. The precise composition of the object is still debated. Was it a rocky asteroid or a more fragile icy comet? The lack of definitive meteoritic dust in the soil samples continues to puzzle researchers. This sliver of uncertainty has kept the door open for other, more exotic theories, each adding another layer of intrigue to the Tunguska story. Some have speculated about a far stranger cosmic encounter. Could it have been a tiny, primordial black hole, a remnant from the birth of the universe, passing straight through the Earth? Such an object could theoretically release immense energy upon its passage without leaving a traditional impact site. Another fringe proposal suggests an encounter with a fragment of antimatter, which, upon meeting Earth's atmosphere, would have annihilated in a pure, catastrophic burst of energy, leaving behind no residue whatsoever. And where science hesitates, human imagination flourishes. The dawn of the atomic age and the Cold War brought new, more conspiratorial interpretations. Could the Tunguska event have been the result of a nascent experimental weapon, a secret test gone catastrophically wrong? And inevitably, the mystery attracted speculation of an extraterrestrial nature. Some have proposed that the explosion was a malfunctioning or deliberately destroyed alien vessel, a theory that, while lacking any evidence, speaks to the event's profound strangeness. It feels, to some, less like a random act of nature and more like a controlled, albeit devastating incident. Each of these perspectives, from the scientifically plausible to the wildly speculative, highlights the fundamental challenge of Tunguska, explaining an event of immense power for which the primary evidence destroyed itself in the act of happening. Today, the Tunguska event is more than just a historical curiosity. It is a vital data point for planetary science and a stark reminder of the silent, powerful forces that shape our world. Scientists continue to sift through the historical accounts, analyze ice cores from Antarctica for atmospheric dust from 1908, and run sophisticated computer simulations to model the airburst and refine their understanding of the object that caused it. The event serves as a crucial case study for planetary defense, a real-world example of what happens when a relatively small celestial body interacts with our atmosphere. It challenges our understanding of cosmic impacts, reminding us that destruction doesn't always come from below, from the shaking of the Earth, but can also rain down, unseen, from above. More than a century later, the forest has begun to heal. New trees grow amidst the fallen ghosts of 1908. But the mystery remains, etched into the landscape and the annals of science. We are left with the echo of an explosion, a sound wave that has traveled through generations, carrying with it a story of cosmic power and profound uncertainty. We have a compelling theory, but no final proof. We have the scene of the crime, but the perpetrator vanished in a flash of light. The Tunguska Event is a portal, not just to a forgotten page of history, but to a deeper understanding of our place in a vast and sometimes violent universe. It forces us to look up at the sky and wonder, what other near misses has our planet endured, their stories never told, their echoes lost to the winds of time?